Good afternoon, dear students. This is Dr. Walid Dars once more, and now we are talking about another topic in microbiology, which is general mycology. By the end of this lecture, you will be able, inshallah, to discuss the general structure of fungi, illustrate the morphology of fungi, describe the methods of replication, also list the sources and mode of transmission, classify commonly medically important fungi, and differentiate superficial from cutaneous, subcutaneous, and systemic mycosis, including the tissue involved. This is our lecture outline today. At first, let's read this case. A 22 years old pregnant woman had just completed a 2-week course of ampicillin for the treatment of E. coli urinary tract infection. This is Escherichia coli bacteria. She repeated the course without asking the advice of doctor, and this is common here in Egypt. Then she started experiencing pain while eating or swallowing. On examination, white patches were present on the inner cheeks, tongue, and roof of the mouth and throat. This is the one. What is the diagnosis of this condition? What is the possible organism? Actually, the causative agent here is fungi, and we'll discuss this. In general bacteriology with Dr. Daria, you know, we have prokaryotes and eukaryotes, and the fungi is the only microorganism which is eukaryote. This means it have a true nucleus with definite nuclear membrane, nucleolus, and cytoplasmic organelles. For the structure of fungi, we have different unique structures present in fungi. First, the cell wall. Okay, the cell wall in fungi, unlike bacteria. In bacteria, it was peptidoglycan. In fungi, it contains chitin, glucans, mannans or mannanoproteins, and also polysaccharide. Okay, so the cell wall in fungi contains 3 components: chitin, glucan, mannanoproteins, and polysaccharide, while it has a cytoplasmic membrane. The unique structure in the cytoplasmic membrane is sterol, which is termed ergosterol. Okay, in human we have cholesterol. In fungi, the sterol present in its cytoplasmic membrane or cell membrane is ergosterol. Okay, the cell wall contains chitin, glucans, mannans, complex polysaccharides. Cell membrane contains ergosterol and encloses the organelles, which is the cytoplasm, cytoplasmic vacuoles, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, and so on. Our second law is the morphology of fungi, the shape of fungi. In viruses, we term that symmetry, right? While here in fungi, it's termed morphology. We have 4 forms. The first one is the yeast. The yeast is a unicellular fungi, which is rounded or oval in shape, like this. It reproduces by budding. Okay, budding, a small piece is separated from the fungus, from the fungal bud, like this. This is budding. The example of this pathogen is Cryptococcus neoformans. Okay, it's Cryptococcus neoformans. In yeast-like, it is the same as yeast. It is a unicellular fungi with rounded or oval in shape, reproduce also by budding, but here during infection it produces what's called pseudohyphae. The pseudohyphae is an elongation like this, like a tube, okay, arising from the fungus. Okay, so in yeast-like, it is like yeast in being unicellular, oval or rounded, reproduced by budding, but during infection it produces a pseudohyphae like this. The example here is Candida. Candida is a very, very common fungal infection. The third one is the molds or the filamentous fungi. It grows with the formation of true hyphae. Okay, the hyphae is a tubular branching structure which may be septated or non-septated, like this. Septated like a sugar cane. Okay, it's like a sugar cane, similar to the shape of the sugar cane, with several nodes like this, septums. While aseptate or non-septated, it is continuous without any septa. The hyphae, okay, may make a collection or grow like this in two forms. The first one is the vegetative mycelium or vegetative hyphae. Okay, this hyphae will penetrate the media like the roots of the plants to get the nutrient. Okay, so the one which penetrates the media is called what? Vegetative mycelium. While the aerial mycelium, it is present directed upward facing air, so it is called aerial, and it's carrying the spores which are produced by the fungus in order to reproduce. So we have vegetative mycelium penetrating the media, while the aerial mycelium, it's raised upward. Also, it's very important here to know that it is called or termed hyphae. Okay, hyphae and not hypha. So it's pronounced as hyphae and not hypha. Last in biology, it was Eliza and not Elisa. Okay, I don't know what is the link between microbiology and the Lebanese singers. I don't know, really don't know. But please, it is hyphae. The dimorphic fungi is unique, a double-phased fungi. This means it can grow at 37 as a yeast, okay, oval, budding, and so on, while at room temperature like 25 degrees Celsius, for example, it can grow as a hyphae or mycelium, like molds. So, can grow as a yeast during infection at 37, can grow as a mold or filaments when inoculated at room temperature. Example for this is Histoplasma capsulatum. Histoplasma capsulatum. So, quiz. What is the basic structure of fungal cell wall? And take care it's a cell wall. So, we have chitin, this glucan, nanoproteins or mannan, and complex polysaccharides. Reproduction of fungi. We have two methods, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, it involves the union of two nuclei or two sex cells or two sex organs, yielding what's called sexual spores. These are the three sexual spores: zygospore, basidiospore, and ascospores. Ascospores in a case like this, so ascus, basidiospores lies over the basidium, and zygospore is like this one between the two organs. Okay, so I need the names, not the full details. Zygospore, basidiospore, and ascospores. In asexual reproduction, it is the main method. Yes, the asexual reproduction is the main method for reproduction. It includes fragmentation of the hyphae. This means that multiple septum like this, then each one of these converted into a spore which is separated and dispersed. So it's called fragmentation. This means the hyphae and each fragment will be separated and grow into a new individual fungus. We have fission. Fission like binary fission, like this. Each fungus is divided into two equal fungi, two equal daughter fungi. Budding. Only a small part from the ball of the fungus is separated to yield the bud. Okay? But here in the budding, the bud is smaller than the mother cell, while in fission, they are both the same size. The last one is formation of asexual spores like conidiospores and conidiophora and so on. For your need, and this is not important for me, you should know only that we have formation of asexual spore only. Okay? But take care for this. A single fungus may contain both modes of reproduction, sexual and or asexual. So fungi can reproduce sexually or asexually or by both methods in the same time. What are the sources of infection? First, endogenous. This means that the fungus is part of the normal flora, okay? But when the patient is immunocompromised, especially in hospitalized patient, okay, there will be a nosocomial infection. Okay, patient will suffer from infection acquired during hospital stay, which is called nosocomial infection. Okay, this occurs in an immunocompromised patient. Exogenous. This is the main source of fungal infection, mainly from the environment. But take care for this. Few fungal infections are communicable between human and or between animals. Okay, so Transmission of infection from animal to human is uncommon. Not all the fungi, a very little number of fungi can be transmitted by this method. What about the mode of transmission? Write anything, it will be right. Respiratory tract, airborne infection is common. GIT, like food, water, and borne infection. Bloodstream infection also common. Skin contact is very common in tinea, like I will mention to you. Sexually, Candida can be transmitted sexually. Most fungal diseases are not communicable between human or animal. Are not. Okay? Only limited number of fungi that can be transmitted from animal to human. Let's move to the classification of medically important fungi. We have primary pathogenic fungi and opportunistic. Primary pathogenic fungi, this means they affect immunocompetent patient. The person have a normal immune system. Example, Histoplasma capsulatum and other dimorphic fungi. Opportunistic affects only immunocompromised patients like Candida, Aspergillus, and so on. Asexual reproduction of fungi includes, think. I know that you have the right answer. It's fragmentation, fission, budding, and asexual spores. Let's move to mycosis. And mycosis is the fungal infection of what? Human. If a fungus causes infection in human, it's termed mycosis. But first, let's remember the structure of skin. I know it was one of your ILOs, okay? But to summarize it for me, you know we have an outermost layer, which is the epidermis, then the dermis, and finally the subcutaneous tissue. Remember this. The first form of mycosis is superficial mycosis. It affects only the outermost layer of skin and hair. Superficial, okay? Strictly superficial infection limited to the outermost layer of skin and hair. Example is Pityriasis versicolor. I know the names are a little bit difficult, but you should remember it. This is a typical Pityriasis versicolor infection. Cutaneous mycosis, the infection extends to the epidermis, hair, and nail. It's deeper than the superficial. It will extend to the epidermis, hair, and nail. Example, dermatophytes. For example, Tinea capitis. The Tinea capitis affects the scalp and hair, okay? Tinea barbae, which affects the bird hair, okay? The bird hair. Tinea anguum, which affects the nail. All of these are examples of dermatophytes. Tinea pedis, which affects the in-between toes, which is called athlete's feet. Tinea corporis affects the non-hairy smooth skin. Affects the non-hairy smooth skin. So these are examples of dermatophytes. The third form is subcutaneous. It will involve the dermis, subcutaneous tissue, muscle, and fascia. Example is mycetoma. Okay? We have systemic mycosis. It involves many organ systems like Histoplasma capsulatum and Coccidioides immitis. Okay? These two are examples of dimorphic fungi. Actually, there are 4, but I have summarized it to you into 2 only: Histoplasma capsulatum and Coccidioides immitis. The last form is opportunistic mycosis. This group of mycosis is caused by saprophytic fungi, affecting only immunocompromised individuals. The person should be immunocompromised, like Candida, which is yeast-like, Cryptococcus yeast, and Aspergillus, which is mold. Let's summarize our lecture. Fungi are eukaryotic organisms, have true nuclei with definite nuclear membrane, nucleolus, and cytoplasmic organelles. Cell wall contains chitin, mannans, glucans, and complex polysaccharides. Cell membrane contains ergosterol. Fungi may be yeast-like, mold, or dimorphic regarding their morphology. They reproduce both bisexually and or asexual ways. Fungi causes a wide range of infections. So what is the diagnosis of this case? I will answer it to you. This is what's called an oral thrush. It's very, very common in pregnant women and in children. The candida makes a layer covering, white milky layer covering the tongue, I mean extend into the throat. Okay, the causative agent is candida. This is result from what? Using the antibiotic will what? Will remove all the normal flora present in the mouse, allowing, I mean the bacterial flora, allowing the growth of candida, which will lead to this form of infection. Answer this. A strict surface infection limited to the outermost layers of the skin and the hair. Maybe cutaneous mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, superficial, systemic, opportunistic, and of course the answer will be superficial mycosis. Fungal infection of human beings is called mucorrhosis, mycosis, fungosis, mycorrhizia, and mycorrhizasis, and it's of course mycosis. This is a reference for further reading. Jewett's, okay, medical book, Mycology, and also in clinical case student you will find a useful source with an extra questions and MCQ. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture. Thank you for your attention. Thanks once more.